Greetings, South Africa. Dumelang, Abshen, Dimachalon, Nda. Thank you for making time to watch this broadcast today. You decided to choose us, and we thank you for that. The person speaking to you is Dr. Sibia, the chairperson of INSIKA. And allow me to introduce to you, because I know there is a thinking that INSIKA is just one person. I want to just allow me to just mention few names of the brilliant minds behind INSIKA economic movement. We have got Dr. Musa Dube, we have got Sipho Mabusela, we have got Mr. Mbuso Mbata, we have got Jabulile Patswane, we have got Mr. Jacob Maluleka, we have got Mr. Jerry Maleka, we have got Trevor Selebi, and then we have got the beautiful one, Khanyi Ngwenya. I would like to start by saying or acknowledging what is going through the country and the world in general. We are going through difficult times given the pandemic that we are faced with, and I will plead with South Africans and Africans in general to please take precautionary measures to ensure that we are able to fight this pandemic. I know as Africans, we have been through a lot. We have been through slavery and slaughtery, and then we managed to beat all of those. And it was because we are capable, and I know for sure that we are going to also beat this one. I would like to start by saying Africa is the mother of most of the nation outside Africa. And by this word, I don't want to mean bad, but I want to encourage African and South African in particular to say over the years, Africa has been mothering other countries, and it has built a lot of economies outside South Africa and Africa in general. So I strongly believe that even today, the same Africa is still capable to be able to give us what is going to be able to get us out of what we are going through. With those words, I would like us to just do a little bit of research, because I think this one is very critical and important from the subject that I'm going to cover today. We have got Jews in the world that has got a population of less than 20 million, which is less than half of South Africa. But if you were to look at the Jews in the world, you will find that no one ill-treats the Jews. And the question is why? And I want you, once we have found out the reason why, I would like then you to then take those as reasons why you need to join INSIKA. INSIKA's mandate is just simple, but before getting to the mandate, I would like just to introduce to you what the word INSIKA, because is important and imperative for me to just really share with you what does this word mean. INSIKA is a Zulu word. Let's start there. That simply means the pillar of strength. It simply means that someone that is trustworthy. It simply means that someone that is dependable. And it simply means that we are somebody that we are selfless. So with those words, those is what is defining what are the underpinning values of somebody that needs to be the leader and the person behind driving the mandate of INSIKA. So what is the mandate of INSIKA then? INSIKA, its own primary focus, it exists to be the primary platform to address the challenges facing African community. And by so saying, then the question will be, what are those challenges? We are looking at challenges that emanate from the following. Challenges that emanate from the social development, religious development, economical development, and political development. And then if you go then back to say exactly what are those that are happening in those different areas that I've covered, you will find that as Africans and South Africans in particular, over the years and even today, we are saying we are politically free, but economically we are not free. So then it means that there is a problem, there is an economical challenge. Then you will find that most of South Africans are excluded in the development of the economy. So we are saying there is a need for local investments, and that will ensure that local participation, especially for the blacks, is considered. So those are the kind of challenges that we still live with today that we need to address so that we able to then say we have got a free and fair, inclusive economic development that is sustainable. But also, we don't have that what we call a collaborative competitiveness, where we then say, given our identity, how we can then unite as Africans for the betterment of our country and our nations. So that is still a challenge that we are being faced with. Then you'll find that there is a platform where people, there is a need for the platform where people are listened to, where people are able to deposit challenges, ideas, and solutions to their challenges. There is a need for our people to be healed. So you still have a challenges because most of South Africans and Africans in general, they've been lied to for a number of years. And they've been told that they are not capable. Then the question is then, how can we then be able to build a South Africa that is capable? So we need them to heal and reprogram their minds to start to see themselves as capable individuals. So that's why we still have the challenge in our society and communities in general that we still need to address as far as healing is concerned. We still need to ensure that we recognize our identity as Black community. If we were to look at some of the incidents that I have looked into, especially the one that has happened in Kenya, where you'll find that there is a Chinese a guy that is ill-talking the African identity. That cannot be done to the Jews, but why are we allowing it as Africans? So there is a need to recognize our own identity, both socially to unite us so that we can then collaboratively build our nations going forward. We know that there have been triple BE that has been recognizing our identity toward economic inclusion, but we know that it has failed. So what can be done? So those are the challenges that we are being faced with that we still need to address. So INSIKA has developed itself to have two arms or wings to be able to address most of the challenges that I have shared with you. Then the one wing is social and the other wing is economic, because we understand that as much as we can then try and convince people otherwise to live good and to do good. But if economically they are not able to sustain and maintain themselves, we'll be just wasting our time. So it's important that we are able then to start to look at the economic independence of our people and the people of this country, and say, how can we then enable them? Because that is going to help us to address a lot of social challenges that we are being faced with in this country. So what is our vision as INSIKA economic movement? Our vision is to be the voice of reason driven by ethical principle in achieving proactive governance and fair, inclusive economy. So in this vision statement, you will understand that we are looking at having that capability that will enable us to be able to be proactive in what we do, but also ensure that we are able to achieve an inclusive economy where individuals, even in communities, they can be able to identify themselves with the economy of their countries, and South Africa in particular. So then what is our mission? Then our mission is to mobilize and to unite South Africans and its resources towards building a proactive nation owning the implementation of the new economic direction driven by the following. The following being the economy, education, social, and changing the mindset. The key here is changing the mindset, because our people have to be ready to be part of this economy, so that once we are there, we are not surprised. We have to see ourselves as the people that are now in charge in solving our challenges, because most of the challenges that we are being faced with is the fact that we have given away our challenges. We think that there is somebody else somewhere that is going to come and solve our challenges. And that's why in most instances you find that we are being used economically to benefit most of the people outside the country. So it is of critical importance that we start to identify ourselves as people capable to solve our own problems and provide solutions, even to monetize those opportunities that are presented by those challenges, so that we better our economy. By so doing, then we become economic inclusive. So what do we mean by economy? Economy, we are talking about all the different drivers that drives the economy of South Africa. So you will talk about mining, you will talk about agriculture, you will talk about energy, you talk about SOEs and so forth. So in those, we need then to reflect and say, how do we then in those drive the economic inclusion of the people? Not just economic inclusion, because we know that this economic inclusion has been used just to include those that are politically connected and those that have got relatives in power. So is then to say, how then do we then transform ourselves to say, we want to be part of the economy and we want to be bringing solutions towards the economic challenges that we are being faced with. So that is very important for INSIKA to say, if we talk about economic inclusion, we need to reflect in all of those spheres, because if we are not doing that correctly, then we are going to have a serious problem, because we know that we have got a looming problem around the economy, where we have got individuals that seem to own the economy of the country, and then by so doing, then they want to control the resources of the country. So we cannot afford that. We then need to start to drive the economy that is inclusive, but also taking the opportunity to recognize the capability of South Africans and Africans in general. So once we start to see ourselves as capable to lead and to implement those strategic economic drivers, it will be better for this economy. So we talk about education. It is important that our education is driven by economy so that we minimize most of the graduates that we have that are sitting out there. So you'll find that our education system and the economic strategy of the country is not linked and is not talking to one another. And if so, how are you going to see? You will see with a lot of graduates sitting at home not being absorbed in our economy because they have got skills that are not relevant. So once we start to align our economy with our education system, the better for the economic inclusion, but also ensuring that we create jobs, especially in fighting the triple challenges that are facing this country. So we have got social, obviously under social, we will have got a lot of challenges that we believe that can be just solved by having people doing what is right. That can be able to. So I will also share some of the thoughts that we have around how can we then have a social systems that really contributes to the economy and so forth. So under social, obviously, we'll talk about the healthcare, where then we are saying also there, given the healthcare systems, it's important for us to start to recognize our local made medicines and go back even in our traditions to look at what is it that was working, that we can now use the current systems and technologies to ensure that is in the standard that is acceptable. So that is also important. So when we talk about social, we'll talk about education, the security and safety of the communities, and so forth. So those are the things that we also need to look into and say, how can those reflect the participation of the communities, but also ensuring that the normal citizens and the communities, they are part of that. So then, having said all of what I've said, then what is our strategic objectives as INSIKA? Is then we want to identify and coordinate capable people to monetize African resources and opportunities to ensure global competitiveness. And I want to outline here to say, we are aware that there are people that have become the agents of those that are suppressing Africans. And we cannot continue to live like that. And I must say, those ones, they are going to get a very harsh, because we are going to be very harsh on them. We will need to then take off the gloves to ensure that we deal with them, because we believe they undermine the identity of being African. So it is then important that those people, they start to toe the line and ensure that they value the identity of being an African. But also those ones that they seem to be sort of the masters controlling and ensuring that they maximize their benefit from Africa. We are saying they need to start to face the mighty of the African excellence and smartness. So we then need to start to show them that Africa is capable, and we've got capable individuals that they can be able to do better and better the economy of Africa. And then we need also to reconnect people to their own identity, both socially and economically. By so doing, we think that is of critical importance that we start to connect with our identity as Africans. One, to be able to have a collaborative force towards achieving what is in the best interest of Africa. So if we recognize our identity, because we know that in the world, probably our identity is used to discriminate against us, but we can reverse that and use it to our advantage, where we say our identity is what then help us to identify ourselves, and then from there to be able to collaboratively ensure that we are able to better our economies. But also socially, we need them to start to say, how can we then better the way in which we are doing things especially where we are living and so forth. So we also talk about the true creation of a better life for all. We believe that the level in which we are looking at economic inclusion is going to ensure that there is a number of people that participate in this economy. Because if you look at the community level, if our communities they are able then to sustain themselves and provide themselves and seize the opportunities around them and then participate in those opportunities, then it will be better for their own local economy. So it is of critical importance to ensure that our local economies are well taken care of. But how do we then achieve that? Is then we need then to ensure that our local communities are involved in driving the economy going forward. So we need to stimulate the economy at the ground root level, which is at the community level. Once we are able to stimulate the economy at that level, then is when then we can then be able to achieve what we call fair, inclusive, sustainable economic development. So by so doing, we want to also create wealth through local investment. So it is of critical importance for us to ensure that our own people, they start then, as they see opportunity, they locally invest into those opportunities. Then how do we achieve that? Is then we know that my 10 rand in my pocket and your 10 rand in your pocket, probably it might be just useless. But if we put all of the 10 rands that we might be having in one basket, with that we are going to be able to achieve more. And by so doing, enabling ourselves to be able to participate in the economy and better our economies. So those are the things that we think they are very relevant to what we want to achieve, and they form part of what we call our strategic goals going forward. So we promote local economic ownership because through having a lot of people participating and owning the economy, then we then be able to ensure that our local South Africans, they really participate in that. And by so doing, then they will have a say in what is happening in the economy of the country. But we will not leave aside what we call education, because our people needs to be educated, and our people, they need them to be able to know so that we can be able. People that we are talking to here and that they have been maximizing in ensuring that they get maximum benefit from Africa. These are the systems that has been there for some time. So the question is, then what is it that we can do as African people? So for us to start even to match them, education is very important in that regard, because we cannot say we are going to outsmart people that have been working on these strategies on ensuring that we don't get anything from our African resources. So it is of critical importance to ensure that education and we educate our people so that we are then at the same level in when it comes to the intelligence, so that we can then be able to beat them and ensure that we are able to achieve the economic freedom that we are all looking for. So what is it that we have done till this far? Because that is also another question. I think it is important to note that we have been welcomed by South Africans, and we really appreciate that. And there is a number of projects that we have been involved into, and there's a number of projects that we've identified. But I would like to just to emphasize on the following, to say what we have been prioritizing in the projects that we embark on are projects that are sustainable, but also projects that will then ensure that they also able to give returns, so that we can then be able to invest on other projects. So here we are talking about projects ranging from assisting schools in some of the challenges that they are going through. It might be that they need some assistance because there's a shortage of teachers, and then we need to work with some of individuals from universities and so forth, so that we're able to address that. And then we talk about also the issues of connectivity. We talk about issues in agriculture, to say how can we then come there and assist and to provide even the platform for the market for those that are doing agriculture. So we have been participating in that and doing that. So that is what we want to embark on and ensure that really we expand, so that most of the communities of South Africa, they are part of this and they are able to develop themselves. So by saying what I've just said is not really mean that we are limited to a particular sector. That's why if we get to a particular community, what then we need to establish is what we call the economic growth plan or growth strategy that will then identify what are the local opportunities that exist in that community, and then to say how can we then monetize those for the betterment of that community. So as we then do that, then the community get involved, and then the community also get to benefit, because those are the things that even the community uses. But also you may find that the market is also even open in other communities. So then we're able to link communities to share what they're able then to come up with. So we are not replacing the IDP documents that will exist in your municipalities and so forth, but rather we complement that. That's why we see most of existing authorities and entities that are helping communities, we see them as partners, as INSIKA. So as we get in there, we would like to partner with almost everyone that exists in that community to ensure that we better the lives of the people. So basically that is of critical importance to us for the public to note. So given all what we are doing and what we all about, then what is the outcome of INSIKA intervention? What do we see achieving in general? So one, based on the intervention that we are doing, we see that it's going to contribute towards lessening criminal activities within communities, because once we have got communities that are more involved, communities that are more focused on developing what is beneficial to them, a community that is focused on ensuring that they are participating in the economy and so forth, then obviously there will be less of those that are really focusing on criminal acts and so forth. So then our intervention, we believe that is going to lessen the criminal activities, but also it's going to lessen strikes, because if local communities, they are part of the economy, then they look at strikes, then they will think twice, because they are part of the solution. So if the communities themselves are part of the solution, so in most instances you'll find that it will be easier to find solutions to most of the challenges. But that does not take away the fact that there are those that are still going to be trying to manipulate communities that might also force them to go and strike. But we believe that we are going to lessen strikes within our communities. And then the communities will be involved and active through this intervention. So we'll find that communities, they're able to participate in producing what benefits them, what they consume, and so forth. And by so doing, then we are going to be the platform that create synergies and the linkages, where then the communities themselves, they become the market to themselves, which is of critical importance in ensuring that the economy is inclusive, but also it is locally owned. So we believe that we are going to be saving on the healthcare system, because people, they're going to be active and to be doing something. So that is going to contribute towards the savings in the healthcare system that can then be injected to the economy by the government. We are going to have savings on the social grant, because we are going to then have communities that are capable, communities that they look after themselves, and communities that are taking informed decisions because they are more involved. They are part of what is happening in their society, and they are part of the change that we want to see in this country. So obviously, job creation is just like that. We are going to be able to contribute to job creation because as people within those communities start to be part of the programs and the projects that we are going to be doing in those communities that aim at maximizing their opportunities and benefiting from the opportunities and economic opportunities that exist in their communities, and then obviously then it will create job opportunities. And by so doing, then you'll find that probably there will be less people that will be migrating from rural areas to urban areas. So that is of critical importance also. So we'll improve local production and ownership by so doing, because we know that as people then they start to produce what they eat, then that they can be able to share or sell amongst themselves to make money and to get them to be part of the economy. That will then increase the ownership of the people of South Africa. So if we were to then look at the challenges that we are being faced with, which is then now that talks to the economy itself. We believe that inclusive, sustainable economy is a serious complex issue that we need to deal with. Why is very complex? Is because this is the system that has been implemented over years to ensure that our masters or those that colonize us, they make sure that we don't see the best amongst ourselves. So we always, if we were to look at the foundation of our thinking process, you'll find that it starts from the negative side of things, which is the challenge for most Africans because we look down on our identity. That's why it's critical for us to reconnect with our identity as Black people and say, this identity, we need to protect it and ensure that within this identity, then we're able to grow our economy and see capability amongst ourselves and ensure that we're able then to develop this economy. So the systems that have been put in place, they ensure that the colonizers, they still get the maximum from the economies that exist today. So then the issue is then to say, how can we then able to address these challenges? Because you talk about the financial systems. The financial systems are not Afrocentric in that case. And who owns the financial sector for that matter? So it's of critical importance then to start to ask ourselves those pertinent questions to say, look, it is time now to look at our identity and prioritize our identity in ensuring that they are part into each and everything and each and every decision that get taken within the country. But we need to also reflect that as Black people, we are smart and we are capable. We can do things for ourselves. And I think that over years, we have been giving away our own responsibility to own our own challenges, but also to own solutions, because we have been thinking that there is somebody that is going to come and sort of give us solutions to our problems, which is not possible. So as African people, we need then to start to own our identity and protect our identity with all odds. It cannot be correct that we are being undermined in the world where we really contribute this much that we are contributing to the world with our resources. So even the world, they need to start to respect Africa because of the contribution that we are making into the world. So that is of critical importance. But if we are not united behind our identity, we are not going to be able to achieve that. So it is of critical importance that we reflect on this ourselves and ensure that really we start to own this development. So inclusive development or inclusive economy for us will require that we reverse some of the things that has been happening, that has been going on. So you look at the judicial and the legal fraternity, and you ask yourself to say, because there is an economy that gets generated in that space, but to whom is it going? Is it empowering black people? Then we need to reflect on that and say, who are the people that participate in that space? But also, are we saying the judicial and legal systems that are in place, they support the serious development that we need to do as Africans to better our countries? Because that is of critical importance, because that is an enabler in ensuring that we are able to realize the goals of inclusive economy, by so doing to ensure that we share the power in this country. Then also we need to reflect in the finance and insurance sector and say, what is the ownership there? Who is owning what? Because if we talk about inclusive economic development, then we need them to reflect on that. Are the finance system really working for Africans? Or is here to maximize and ensure that individuals, they remain sort of powerful in different sectors of the economy? Because we know that for you to own almost anything, you then need to go to the bank and they approve or not approve your loan, or to give you with that interest that over a period of your lifetime you're not going to be able to pay back. So are the financial systems in place really enabling us to realize what we call the fair, inclusive, sustainable economy? So we need to reflect on that. So where I'm sitting, I believe that we have not done, we even scratched the surface in that regard. So there's a lot that we still need to do there. It's not going to be easy, but also no one said it's going to be easy. So we need then to be able to unite, use our identity for our benefits as Africans. So you talk about healthcare sector, and then we'll hear people saying it is making billions and so forth. To whom are those billions going to? Are they going to Africans? And if so, then why are we not able then to ensure that we include and grow the ownership in that space? So it is of critical importance for us to really ask these pertinent questions and relevant questions in the development of this country. So those are the areas that are critical for us to ensure inclusive, sustainable economy, because we want to also reflect in the healthcare, for example, and say the medications that we are using there, can we then be able to transform our own African medicines and so forth, so that if I go to a doctor, then I find that whatever herbs, traditional herbs, are being prescribed for me to use when I'm going to the doctor. But also the scientists that we developed amongst ourselves, they need them to be capable to ensure that we are able to get our own traditional herbs to be certified or to be a standard that is required. So this is things that we need to look into, because those are things that drives the economy. Now we've heard that the number of billions that will be going probably in that sector now to address the COVID-19 virus. If we had a capable healthcare system that is able to prioritize locally made medicine and so forth, then we are going to be able to ensure that even the outputs of this COVID-19, in terms of the financial investment that we are making into it, then goes to the African people, and by so doing builds the local economy going forward. So we'll talk about also issues in the construction sector, and also consultants, especially when we talk about financial consultants and so forth, even technology and the likes. We then need to reflect and say, how many of those are Africans? The investment that we are making in the infrastructure projects, to whom is it going? So we need then to talk to say, how can we include Africans in ensuring that they are beneficiaries to that? And by so doing, we increase the ownership and the skills locally, so that our people, they have got necessary skills, but also there are opportunities for themselves to develop themselves and to better themselves and to better their skills going forward. Because we find that most of our local people, they go to schools, but we find that they don't have opportunities to really sharpen their skills in that space. So how do we then ensure that even in there we realize the inclusive economic development that we're talking about? You talk about agriculture. Most of the agricultural land that exists in South Africa, 87% of it is owned by almost 35,000 white farmers, which are commercial farmers. And then you ask your question, then if that is the case, and then we have almost more than millions of small farmers which are black that are almost using just 13% of that land to try to provide for South Africans, then if we really talk inclusive economic development, that needs to be addressed, and the issue of land thereafter. I believe that time to fight and to do all of these blame shifting things around the land has passed. We need then now use our brains as Africans and show that we are smart and we are capable to those that seem to undermine the agenda of inclusive economic development in this country. And then once we have done so, then the land has to return to the people of this country, especially those that will want to use that land to better themselves and those around them. Then we have got the issue of IT, which probably I've been exposed to, which is a serious challenge for most African countries. Because what is worse about it is the fact that we seem not to even own nothing in that space. We depend on external countries to really help us and support us. And the risk around that is what we are talking about, which is ownership. Even ownership of our strategies and plans and what we want to achieve with our countries, because we are using this infrastructure that we don't own, that is controlled elsewhere, and ensuring that those people, they maximize opportunities that they're able to identify in the same network. So the question is, how can we then ensure that we better ourselves in that space and have local skills? Because in the ICT sector alone, there's a lot of money that gets into there. You look at the telecoms alone, how much money are they making? And then you ask yourself, who owns those? We believe that we need them to look into all of those and reflect on the issues of inclusive economic development and address local ownership of those. If then we can't be able to be part of the ones that exist, let then us develop our own and use our identity to maximize the benefits that comes from that. In conclusion, I would like to say we have a website that is operational. If you want to follow us, what we are doing and so forth, you can go to our website. Our website is www.insikaem.co.za. You need to make sure that it is HTTPS. I've received some complaints that if you use just your normal standard HTTP, it is not going through. So I will urge Africans to use HTTPS, but we are sorting out that with the technical team to ensure that it is fine. It's just that obviously we are going through this lockdown, so it has not been easy for us getting things done and so forth. So in there, you can just register as a member on the website itself. and then it's just easy, and then you can just put your information, and then we'll then be able to share. Why is it important to be a member? Is because we have decided to use the approach that is transparent and open, where then we say, if we have got anything that will require us to take a decision upon, then we can then share with all our members so that they participate in decision making also. So if you are a member, then you will have that advantage to be able to be part of decision making of what is happening, but also to know more about what the events and so forth that are happening, because once you're a member, then in your own profile page, you then see all the activities and things that are happening for this movement. And then we're also on social media. We're also on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Lastly, what I would want them to say to you is that he was not going to allow us to go through what we are going through if he knew that we are not capable. So what we then need to do is then to ask our Creator to just activate the David within us to rise above the challenges that we are going through. I would want to thank you. I know that there are even people from China that are watching this video. There are people from the US that are watching this video, and there are people from Africa that are watching this video. And I'd like to thank you, all of you, for really prioritizing this presentation today. And we'll continue sort of reflecting on a number of things that are happening. The issues on the SOEs, probably also what can be done there that we think will really reposition our SOEs to ensure that we're able to drive this economy toward the right direction. But also we'll reflect on other things, because we also have what we call it citizen dialogues, where then we go to people, listen to what is their challenges, and what are the ideas that they have, what are the opportunities, and probably what are the potential solutions to those. So we go and listen to the people. We provide such a platform. Also, we have started and we have seen that we are winning in that regard, because we're able to even mobilize different political parties to be party to that, and to be able to come up with concrete resolution and solutions towards solving economic challenges. With those words, I would like to say thank you all for listening to this video today. I thank you.